State of Pohnpei.
Present.
FSM State of Yap. The Island of Guam. The Republic of Kiribati.
Present.
The Republic of the Marshall Islands.
Present.
Republic of Nauru. The Republic of Palau.
Present.
The State of Hawaii. Mr. President, we have 8 member entities present and 4 member entities absent. I yield back.
Thank you, Honorable Secretary. In my simple math, we are a quorum, so we will proceed. In doing so, I will ask the Secretary to call on the entities for their opening remarks and country report, leaving Pohnpei State the last. In other words, saving the best for last.
Thank you, Mr. President. And now we will move on to the opening remarks and country reports by the head of delegations. And earlier it was at the request of our President of the APIL that we do include an introduction of your entire delegation before moving on to the country reports. So we will now begin with the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. Recognize.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you. I would like to ask permission to speak in the other language, official language of the Northern Marianas, which is my language, Rufalawash, to greet the Nanmarki and the Nankin. Imushel, we will atiro kami me tingar khiliso. Ngalirami Nanmarki me Nanken me shalimami reliami suhi ngaliramam pemi me bulomi. Welcome lihamam wal mille falwami tiro. Nanmarki of Madilenium, Nanmarki of Pinglap, Nanken of Madilenium, Nanken of Nanken of Kichi, Nanken of Net, Liken Kelekel, and Nankenie. Also to President Panuelo, Governor Reed, members of the FSM Congress, Governor Reed Oliver, members of the PNI Judiciary, Speaker and honorable members of the PNI Legislature, and other entities present today, Father Ken and all present today, and APIO President Neth, and our best friend Walden. If I miss anyone else, we can talk about it later. Okay, so do I move on with our delegation? Okay. Now I'm going to introduce the CNMI delegation. Honorable Vinny F. Sablan, APIL Secretary, as well as CNMI Senator. Honorable Joseph Lipan T. Guerrero, Representative. Honorable Angel A. Dimapan, Representative. Honorable Diego T. Benaventi, FSM Honorary Consul to the CNMI. Ms. Grace P. Sablan, Counselor. Ms. Jacqueline Villagomez, Consultant. Mr. Ashumar Kodap Ogumuro Uludong, Director of Office and Planning Development. Ms. Jolene Duenas Taguel, Senior Legislative Assistant for the Senate. Ms. Claire Sablan, Senior Legislative Assistant for the House. And Mr. Donald Somo Taguel. Did I miss anyone? Thank you. Country report? Okay. Half a day, lesser mamai. We are going to show off a little bit by greeting you in your language. Talofa, Rananim, Tuo, Kasilelia, Mogatin, Buenas, Maori, Yakwe, Ikamwir Ormo, Ali, and Aloha. We bring nothing from the Northern Marianas but good news about strength, patience, camaraderie, and boost in our economy. We have gained strength and have gotten much closer together as citizens after our islands were bombarded by 3 great storms. We continue to seek and appeal to our citizens who still need to get vaccinated, as well as get booster shots, and patiently ride out this COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, despite all these, the tourists, mostly from Korea and Japan, are coming back to enjoy our white sandy beaches and work on getting their tan back. On September 2nd, and after over 2 years, the CNMI celebrated the return of its Japanese tourists, as well as United Airlines' very first Narita-Saipan flight. With United's first direct flight from Narita, Japan to Saipan, also came the long-awaited return of CNMI's Japan market. Our resiliency was tested after the 3 great typhoons, Pohnpei's Fury, Super Typhoon Sodelor in 2015, Thailand's Rage, Typhoon Mangkhut in 2018, and China's Jade Rabbit, Wrath, Super Typhoon Yutu in 2018 that devastated our islands. We are making a comeback, slowly but surely, with much help from the citizens themselves and aid coming from you, our brothers and sisters of this vast blue continent, as well as good old Uncle Sam. On behalf of our governor, we would like to extend his Sidzus Maasi and Hiliso for your generous assistance. It has been more than 2 years now since COVID-19 reached the shores of Saipan on March 2020. At the onset, we all panicked, but after most of the citizens decided to get vaccinated, we have become relaxed to the point where we have decided to become too complacent, despite the fact that the virus is still around and morphing into other strains. Because our people understood the importance of being vaccinated, the virus claimed only 40 lives. Again, we have Uncle Sam to thank for the much-needed funds that he had sent to our government. After most of the citizens have become vaccinated against COVID-19 and the restriction on movement amongst the citizens was lifted, a group called the Governor's Council of Economic Advisors, or GCEA, was formed to create ways to revive the economy of the CNMI. One of the groups that was formed under this is the Public-Private Partnership Program to beautify the 3 most populated islands in the CNMI, Rota, Tinian, and Saipan, in anticipation of the influx of tourists, as well as for the enjoyment of the citizens who have been flocking to the beaches and parks. The members of these partnerships renovated public facilities such as restrooms and pavilions, parks, basketball courts, walkway. They also planted trees and seedlings, etc. The 2022 Pacific Mini Games was held on Saipan from June 17 to the 25th, 2022. It was the 11th edition of the Pacific Mini Games and the first to be hosted by the CNMI. We had 20 participating nations and over 1,000 participating competitors, which included many of your elite athletes. I hope they return home proud of their accomplishments and stories of camaraderie and friendship that will continue to bind us closer together. Lastly, our region has made an historical event in the nation of the U.S. in being the first to have 2 females running on 1 ticket this upcoming general election for the governor and the lieutenant governor positions. There are still many more that we wish to share with you all, but as we were given only a few minutes, perhaps we can talk about the others next time. Hiliso Sidzus Maasi. I yield.
Thank you, Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. And now I'd like to recognize the FSM State of Chuk.
Mr. President, you know, last night was very rainy and hardly to see any stars. But regardless, I saw many stars sparkling in many different colors. With that said, Mr. President, it was the reality of the Sakao last night that triggered me to experience seeing the sparkling stars. Therefore, Mr. President and fellow colleagues, my apology for any unclarity and inconvenience of my remarks. Enginekehlap. Thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, please allow me to pay my respect to the paramount traditional leaders of this land. Enginekehlap. My respect to you, Mr. President, and fellow presiding officers. My respect to Speaker Yamaguchi and his fellow honorable senators of the 10 Pohnpei State Legislature. My respect to every one of you, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and staff. Mr. President and esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, greetings of peace from the FSM State of Chuk, Kasalelia, and Rahnwet. Mr. President, please allow me to introduce my fellow Chukis delegation who are present with us here. Of course, we have your Vice President, the Honorable Senator Nelson Stephen. Also with us here, Mr. President, the Honorable Representative Jesse William, sitting beside me. He is the Chairman of the Judiciary and Governmental Operation. And Melvin Paulis, our legal aid. Mr. President, it is such an honor and privilege with humble heart that I applaud your excellent leadership and wisdom as you navigate our canoe through the imminent threat of this global pandemic throughout our region. As I reflect upon our theme for this year's 39th General Assembly, health is wealth, social and economic well-being of our APIL Pacific community. It reminded me of the spoken expression of no money, no honey. I can't think of any explanation of health to be wealth. Therefore, the spoken expression of no money, no honey justified the hobby of a rich person that plays with money. However, money does not make a person rich and happy, but good health does. Health is wealth. Health is the most immense wealth for a person in his or her entire lifetime. A person can live without excess money, but cannot live without a good health. Health is something that we can't buy with money, but we can take care of it and we can cure it when needed with the help of the money. A perfect health is one of the main elements of happiness that a person needs in his or her lifetime. Health is the vital wealth that we all have. Day to day, we can earn money. However, for our health, we can't get it back. If we lose it due to carelessness, health is the only wealth we are born with, and we have died with our health. Therefore, Mr. President and esteemed colleagues, we must forge unity among the unique culture and linguistic differences of our Pacific Island communities. We must forge it to bind us through shared developments to fight this global pandemic in order for us not to lose our wealth through a good health. Alone, we go faster, but together we go farther. Let us continue to join hands, hearts, and minds for the betterment of the health of our people. I like to think I appreciate things. In fact, one of the things I may comfortably settle in is the value of appreciation in all we do. Appreciation for all we have, for the world around us, and for the things I may yet unaware of. To unify and to lead our Pacific Island community both successfully and fulfillingly. Our standards of health success must be realistic, and we must be able to enjoy the grateful of our health and achievements, as good health is our will. To that end, through rain or shine, through sweat and tears, we must strive in unison toward our common goals for our Pacific Island communities, for an excellent health and great living. Our island countries need each and every one of us. The enormity of the responsibility demands our sacrifices, our best, yes, whatever it takes. By the grace of the divine creator and sustainer of the universe, the grand master designer, the all-knowing Almighty God, we must definitely and can fulfill our call. We are here for a divine purpose, not by an accident, but by His will. Therefore, we must do well to align ourselves with Him, who is able to enable us going forward to walk the same walk, run the same run, talk the same talk, laugh the same laugh, and of course, sing the same song to achieve ultimate goal of unity of the best health of our island communities. Mr. President, fellow esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all and God bless APIL. Kiriso Chabu.
Thank you, FSM State of Chuk. And now we will proceed on with the FSM State of Yap.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. President. I joined the previous speaker in honoring and paying respect to the traditional leadership of Pohnpei, as well as the elected leadership of Pohnpei, most especially our President, David Pahrek. And it is unfortunate that I am the only one that could come to the APIL meeting here in Pohnpei. I think this is a very important one. We have not had a face-to-face one for quite some time because of COVID. But for us in Yap, if we were going to make it to this trip, we have to fly to Palau and live there for quite some time and come back to, and make it to Pohnpei, and then on our way back, we have to spend the week in Palau. I'm fortunate in that I cannot say that it is an unfortunate opportunity, as I have a lot of friends and relatives in Palau, and so it would give me the perfect excuse to meet with them. And so, President Panuelo's remark is a very nice one in my opinion. But I remember in the last APIL meeting, we were talking about possible solution with regard to the atomic testing in the Marshalls, and what's happening what happened in Japan with regard to the spill of the radioactive stuff that will eventually affect the Pacific. And I'm sure that I hope that in our deliberation this time around, we may come to a more substantial position on that matter, because it's eventually, while it may be affecting Palau being the most southern part of Micronesia, and it's affecting the Marshall Island, Kiribati and Nauru being the closest to the site, it will eventually, I'm not a scientist, but I know it's spreading all over the place. And while climate change is a very important issue, it is, but if the water only rises without contamination, that's a different issue than to have contamination with them. And so with that, I bring greetings from here and thank all of you, and I look forward to a fruitful session with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the FSM State of Yap. And we'll move on to the island of Guam.
Sito Smasi. Buenas and half a day. Kaselele, and as my previous colleagues have mentioned, many greetings to all of you here today. My name is Tina Munya Barnes, and I am the Vice Speaker of the 36th Guam Legislature and currently serve as the Chairperson on Regional Affairs alongside my Vice Chairperson, Senator Mary Torres. It is wonderful to be with you all here in Pohnpei in person. I want to take this opportunity to update you all on the progress Guam has made on the key issues we discussed in our last country report. And I'll start with transshipment. Our recovery and transition from this pandemic means we need to build our local economy and do what we can to lower the cost of things we need. In Guam, 90% of our goods are imported. In the pandemic, we felt what happens when supply chains are disrupted. Expanding our maritime capabilities is an opportunity to alleviate the cost of living by allowing international trade through Guam's ports. While Guam has always played a role in the defense of the United States, I know we can play a stronger role in commerce as well. Since establishing the Transshipment Task Force, we were awarded a $250,000 grant to study the viability of this industry in our region. Through this task force, we are also pursuing manufacturing opportunities from cell phones to rice cookers, hair dryers, cars, and even airplane semiconductors are essential to our daily lives. However, due to disruptions in the global semiconductor supply chain, these vital computer chips are in short supply, making everyday goods even more expensive. Guam is working to position itself as a center of the semiconductor industry, bringing critical manufacturing jobs, creating new industries, and lowering the cost of goods. When the United States Department of Commerce issued a request for information to expand domestic chip manufacturing capacity, I and the members of the Transshipment Task Force Subcommittee on Federal and Local Regulation did not hesitate to respond with a proposal to bring this industry to Guam, tapping into billions of dollars in the investment from the federal government. Some ideas to diversify our economy don't always feel realistic, but because of Guam's proximity to the raw materials needed for semiconductors and the fact that their materials can be transported tax-free means this industry is very possible. We will continue our commitment to work with members of Congress and the Biden administration to ensure that Guam becomes an international maritime center. On the Barada Act, last meeting Guam reported that we introduced the Barada Act, which would make higher education more accessible by offsetting the enormous cost of professional healthcare education. Perhaps more importantly, the measure incentivizes students to come back home and serve the community. And I am happy to report that the Barada Act has been signed into law, and it's Public Law 3688. This long-term solution to a long-standing problem, and I'm excited to open this opportunity for all our students. This was possible because our membership into WICHE, which is the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, and because of our efforts, the Office of Insular Affairs has awarded additional funds to WICHI for and on behalf of American Samoa, Guam, the Northern Marianas, the Federated States of Micronesia, the Republic of the Marshall Islands, and the Republic of Palau. This guarantees close to in-state tuition rates for students from the territories and the freely associated states at hundreds of institutions of higher education across the western region of the United States. And we have learned from this pandemic, a healthy community means a healthy economy. This is why we need to invest in our students and ensure they come back to serve our community. And on universal health care, this is why I'm committed to implementing universal health care in Guam. Health care should not be a privilege. Too many of our people are foregoing care they desperately need because they cannot afford it. In the 27th Guam Legislature, many years ago, I introduced a bill on universal health care. It was not popular then, but I think more and more people realize just how important the access to health care is for our community. There is a stronger appetite for it now, and whether it is a single-payer system or a public option, there are working models that we can follow and best practices we can apply. The hardest part is starting it. The issues we face in Guam are nothing new. Each of our jurisdictions are confronted with questions regarding the health of our people, the safety of our community, and the future of our youth. It is important that we learn from one another and offer support to our fellow members of the Blue Continent when we can. Being in our equal branch of government, trying to navigate COVID-19 was no easy feat. At times, it felt like the disagreements, the dirty politics, name-calling, and finger-pointing got the best of us. Looking ahead, we as legislators have an equally important role to ensure that future generations can thrive. This means working together to ensure that democracy thrives, working together to stop rogue, undemocratic regimes and threatening our ways of life, working together to stop human trafficking, and working together to promote a sustainable lifestyle for the survival of the beautiful Blue Continent. On Guam, the military buildup is in full swing. Guam is anticipated to see $2 billion in military spending each year for the next 7 years. With a rise in the number of threats in our region, we must all work together to ensure a free and safe Indo-Pacific. As legislators, we must serve as a check and balance to ensure that our best interests of our people, not quick cash, is always on the forefront. So on behalf of our people of Guam and the 36th Guam Legislature, Undangkaluna si Zeus Masi, si Zeus on Bini DC, Hamza Todos, and from the spirits of the land, God bless each and every one of you. Sana Masi.
Thank you, Madam Vice Speaker of the 36th Guam Legislature. I have a request to ask of you. Please, can you introduce the members of the delegation from Guam? Because I'm looking at the
I do apologize.
Honorable Justice Torres, and I want the entire Pohnpei to know who that is.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my apologies again. Ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, joining me is our Vice Speaker in Regional Affairs, Senator Mary Torres, and joining her also from the Supreme Court of Guam, Justice Robert Torres. Thank you for joining us. He will be presenting also from the Committee of Telecommunications, Transportation, and Committee on Rules, our Communications Director, Mr. Sharak Bawani, and from Senator Mary Torres' office, her Legislative Policy Analyst, Mr. Andrew Jimenez. Thank you so much. We did bring a delegation with us to do a lot of hard work. Blessings, Mr. President. Thank you.
I request for 5-sec recess. 5 seconds. Kiripati? Kiripas? Not Gilbert. Madam Speaker?
Thank you, Mr. President. And before I proceed on to my country paper, I would like first of all to introduce my delegation from Kiribati. First of all, my name is Tangariki, the Speaker from Kiribati Parliament, and my delegation is Mr. Honorable Sapwekeikat, he's a Member of Parliament, and Honorable Ngilen, a Member of Parliament as well. And of course, the Honorable Member, T.C. Eria Lambun, who is now in the executive, and two of my officials are behind me. Mr. President, Senator Shelton Neth, APIL Member, Legislative Presiding Officers, APIL Board Directors, staff of the APIL Secretariat, ladies and gentlemen, let me greet you all in our Kiribati traditional greetings. Kamnaban Ninauri. Mr. President, I am privileged to address you on the occasion of this 39th APIL General Assembly to express on behalf of the Kiribati delegation our appreciation and gratitude for the invitation that you have extended to my delegation to join this three-day forum. I would also like to acknowledge the wonderful arrangements and logistics support accorded to us by the Pohnpei State Legislature staff upon our arrival here in Pohnpei, and of course, last night's amazing welcome function. We did really enjoy ourselves last night with all the amazing and very new experience to us from Kiribati, the traditional welcoming way to us that we have seen last night. Mr. President and distinguished delegates, let me now update you all on the current situation in Kiribati and some ongoing activities in efforts to reinvigorate our economy after the COVID-19 pandemic strike on our shores earlier this year. Our 45-member unicameral parliament is consisting of 4 political parties members. Our members are elected for a 4-year term by non-compulsory universal adult suffrage. The current parliament was elected in May 2020, and as Kiribati's first Madam Speaker, I am privileged and honored to lead an often difficult role as Speaker of the Kiribati Parliament that has a 93% male dominance. COVID-19 has taken its toll, affecting over 43 million people globally and led to over 1.2 million fatalities. It has been widely spreading and affecting nations and has undoubtedly caused a catastrophic economic collapse the world over. With a population of a little over 110,000, Kiribati remains a vulnerable country in the face of any major economic threat, as well as any global disease outbreak. However, its remoteness and isolation from the rest of the world, coupled with limited international flights and shipping operations from overseas, made it one of the last affected countries in the Pacific. In an effort to combat this calamity, our Parliament has unanimously passed several motions which would enable the government to take concrete actions to address the impact of the crisis. We are also thankful that our government has sought out assistance of the Australian government and its agencies by implementing the Kiribati National COVID-19 Preparedness and Response Plan in March 2020 to help minimize the risk of spreading. We all recognize that public health and safety are the paramount factor in any effort to restart international travel, particularly Kiribati, who could not afford as the impact are immense costly and stressful. Our main hospital facilities are still under-equipped and could not be able to accommodate patients should the pandemic strike again. The Kiribati National COVID-19 Preparedness and Response Plan estimates that around 10 million is needed to prepare the health system for COVID-19. The government of Kiribati, through its repatriation task force, has coordinated the gradual repatriation of its nationals and key expatriates. Kiribati has started its repatriation from countries that are free of community transmission. As of August this year, the COVID-19 task force has been able to successfully complete the repatriation of our stranded nationals from overseas. The loss of economic revenue of our foreign-based workers in Australia, New Zealand, and on foreign vessels have been adversely affecting the livelihood of our people. This has brought burdens to them, their families, and the economy as a whole. In August this year, Kiribati has to reopen its borders again to allow students, foreign-based workers, and visitors to travel. As of the 2nd of July this year, quarantine is no longer required for all incoming international travelers to Kiribati. However, mask wearing and social distancing is still encouraged but no longer mandatory. The government, through Parliament resolutions, had developed and implemented the private sector relief package to all businesses in different sectors, including public enterprises. The package is an initiative to relieve businesses and economy from the adverse effects of border closures and trade restrictions around the world. The tourism industry is expected to revive and recover from the devastating impact of international border closure in March 2020. However, the Tourism Authority of Kiribati is optimistic for a sustainable return to normalcy as Kiribati begin welcoming visitors from August this year. Kiribati acknowledges and recognizes the input and efforts of the APIL Pacific community in sharing their technical and financial resources throughout the APIL Pacific community and to assist them to contain the pandemic. The fight against the pandemic requires concerted effort of the APIL community. These challenging times call for a strong sense of unity, and I would like to formally request that we support one another as we navigate the journey ahead. I would also like to encourage our foreign and regional donors to develop financial assistance platform where we can all access despite our respective government diplomatic relations stances. In conclusion, Mr. President, the theme for the 39th General Assembly reminds us that our health is the first and utmost important factor leading to our wealth. As Edward Kennedy put in, health is care. Health care is a right, not a privilege. If you have your health, you have everything. Accordingly, we as leaders must commit ourselves to agree to a robust platform that will enhance the health of our people. Mr. President, I have no doubt that the outcomes of this General Assembly, through presentations as well as continuing support from various partners, will bring in more benefits to our APIL community as we navigate the journey together in these difficult times. Having said all that, I would like to bestow upon this Assembly our traditional blessings of the Nauri, Teroi, or the Tapamo, health, peace, and prosperity. God bless. Kambasinaba.
Republic of Kiribati, and now we recognize the Republic of the Marshall Islands.
Thank you, Sapan, Vinny, for the opportunity. Nan kamolo lari mogada ilo, Parliament rain, kile iro kap army iro kap army jin mayo. Kile ko moyale balanga ko moyalo jika promoja gailo yeni. Nan kile ko moyale. Lo dan do jala ami kap chicken de utage. I want to focus my discussion or my report briefly. You all know how I do it. I speak from the heart. Try not to read any paper as much as I can to share my thoughts. Many things are happening in the Republic of the Marshall Islands at the moment, but I'll try to focus on the health part of the issues back home. Since our theme is on health is wealth, I will try to focus on that. When I first joined the APIL in Saipan a few years back, I have a gray hair, so it was a few years back. The Marshallese phrase that I use, that I'll continue to use today, and has more relevancy today than any other time. Drijo Muwich literally means Dri, it's the bone, Cho, it's uproot, and make it fall. Drijo Muwich. And this refers to the big trees. After the community worked together on uprooting the tree, then community come and build the canoe. And we all know what canoe does to our communities. And I heard the word navigations a lot this morning because that's what we do. We're navigators. From island to island, within our islands, within our neighboring and what have you, to our communities. In this time and era of unforeseeable diseases that pops up just like that in a second, COVID is a good example of what we just witnessed in the last 2 years. I think it's more relevant that we work as unit Pacific Islanders. And if I may suggest that we, Mr. President, look at inviting our colleagues and our brothers and sisters from Melanesia and Polynesia to join rest of us here in Micronesia, aside from the two Polynesia that are with us. So to make this an all blue continent, as we refer to all the time. Let me first recognize our distinguished guests that were here. Nanmarki, Heroes Laplaps, our chiefs, His Excellency David Penuelo, friend of ours, for the great statement. Our speaker, Yamaguchi, great statement as well. And our very own Reed Oliver, Governor, Marshallese Governor in Pohnpei. We're proud to know that we have a Marshallese who's in charge of Pohnpei. And of course, President, you're Marshallese yourself, your wife. You're from Jeluj Atoll. So, and rest of the leadership here in FSM and Pohnpei, especially in our parliament, in our legislature here, we want to recognize all of you and thank you for the excellent reception, as alluded to my speaker from Kiribati. We enjoyed the dinner last night. Too bad you didn't let me dance. I would have made sure the floor was broken in pieces. But since my wife is here, I wanted to show off. So I want to recognize everybody, all the delegates. You know, it's already a successful, because we're all here. After so many years, we get to see each other. This is already a successful conference. You know, there's a big difference in seeing each other, hugging each other, shaking hands, you know, and chat over a coffee or tea, and in a great place where it's filled with wisdom in the legislature in Pohnpei. There's a big difference. via the Skype, Zoom, what have you, webcam, and all that. So, and with me also, Chairman, Delegation of RMI, Chairman Kanego, Kalani Kanego, newly appointed by the Office of the Speaker to be the Director of APIL. So he's going to be stuck with you folks. So try to get to know him. And Chief Clerk, who's now working with the LC on our resolution. And of course, my beautiful wife over there. Smile. So I fully support all the statement made, and especially from my speaker from YAP, Kamakar, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the statement. We're talking about health. Marshall Island is not unique to any of our jurisdictions. Diabetes condition. CNMI is one of the region with diabetes condition. Nauru, Kiribati, Marshall Island, and all of us, because of the non-communicable disease and the lifestyle that have changed our life. And in the Marshall Island, say from diabetes being the highest cause of death in our country, second highest cause of death in the country is cancer. And that's why I fully support my speaker from YAP. And it shouldn't be a surprise to any of us here. As we all know, 67 bombs tested in the Marshall Islands on Bikini and Anwata Atoll. As a result, a lot of radiogenic diseases exposing our environment, our island, and our people, especially our people. That's why its second cause of death in the Marshall Island is as a result of cancer. So if we're talking about health in our region, we need to address the obstacles that are creating the health problems. In the Marshall Islands, it's the nuclear issue and the non-communicable diseases as well. So let me link that to the need for us as a unit, as a family of working together. I don't know how much you're observing what is happening in the region, as I am. I go to sleep at 3 o'clock in the morning and then wake up at 6 to go to work, get ready to go to work, because I wanted to see what is happening in the region, especially in Washington, D.C. As alluded to our president, there was a fracture in the Pacific Island Forum, and I played a major role as a speaker to bring the Marshall Island back to the forum. I introduced, actually as sole introducer of a resolution to bring the Marshall Islands to the forum, back to the forum, and it was adopted. Because I genuinely believe that Kadkadaur war Drijo Mugoj, as I stated earlier, will bring results for all of us. Whatever issue we face or we try to tackle, as also President mentioned, President Penuelo, no man is an island. And it's true. It's more true today than any other time. Although it's an American slogan, we all know in our country, in our island nation, we cannot afford to be a man on his own on an island. He just would not survive, period. So the issues in the Marshall Island now that are of importance for us is the compact negotiation in Palau as well as FSM as a whole. And it's not only a free legislative states issue, it's the rest of the Micronesia issue, rest of the APIL issue. Guam is having issues with compact impact. Hawaii, CNMI. So this is also your issue. I'm bringing this up to let us know that if we genuinely want to get things done, we have to work together as a family. Marshall Island already started compact negotiation with the federal government, and as also alluded to by our president, Penuelo, our president David Kabir was also in DC, and I am a member of the compact negotiation team as well, spearheading the nuclear legacy issue in the compact negotiation along with the other members. And Chairman Kalani Kanego, as the chairman of Health and Education and Social Affairs of the Parliament, is also a member of the negotiation team. I made a statement, and it's not a threatening statement in any means, by any ways, but it's the real, genuine, honest statement that this time around, the United States needs to address the nuclear issue. And my statement was short and brief: no nuclear, no compact. That was received well by the United States federal government, and they are now working on it to try to resolve this injustice that has been ongoing in the Marshall Islands for too many years. I intend to introduce a resolution in the APIL alluding to what I just briefly mentioned on the compact negotiation and the nuclear legacy in the Marshall Islands, and generally the importance of the diplomatic ties that we have with the United States. We recognize them as our big brother and recognize them as a partner that we're committed to, and we have been. And many sacrifices since World War II, after World War II, and even still today. The highest per capita enrollment of young men and women in the U.S. Armed Forces are from our region, from Micronesia. So sacrifice continues. But what I believe ought to take place this time around in this compact negotiation is that the United States start looking and facing us as we discuss issues. And the metaphor that I use, and it has some truth to it, that I feel as a leader, and some of the leaders, maybe not all, that we always get to see the back of the head of the United States when we discuss issues with them. Well, this time around, we are asking that they face us so we can discuss issues. Another statement I made in the Parliament and in public speaking gathering of the citizens is that in front of the ambassador of the United States to the Marshall Islands, we are here to stay. We're not going anywhere. Meaning, we are here to stay with you. But, with a big but, we need to resolve these issues that have been plaguing our citizens for too long. Many of them, and one of them especially, the nuclear injustice. So, I hope that we'll support the resolution that I introduced, because it's going to affect all of us. And some of us may not be aware, Guam is also claiming as a downwinder as a result of the testing in the Marshall Islands. We support that, and we truly believe that that's the case. So all of us here, in one way or another, as my colleague from Yava stated, are affected. So we can work together to resolve these issues as a Blue Continent family. And this is the body in which everything charted the course of the country and its future. It's the first branch. Executive branch cannot make any policies that are inconsistent with the legislature's laws. So it is us that make the law and give to the executive branch to implement and execute. That's why they call themselves execute executive and executive branch. But it is the first branch, the parliament, that make the laws, then give to the executive and judiciary to interpret the law and make judgment based on those laws. So this is how important. Vaccination rate based on 2011 census, it says it's 76%, but if we really look at the latest census, we've already reached over 90% vaccinations. So I want to praise our community for their attentiveness and obedience. I think it plays a major role when they listen to their leaders. When the Moderna vaccine came out first, a lot of people were saying so many negative things about it, and that is deadly, and then you'll have side effects for the rest of your life, and you name it. I was privileged to, after doing a lot of research, like I said, stay up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, doing a lot of research. I decided I want to be the first one to be vaccinated, to send a strong message to the country. If I can do it, so can you. Knowing that I was going to save many lives. And I think as a result, a lot of people were saved because a lot of people were vaccinated. So I want to leave our conference by saying Marshall Island is open, Mr. President. If you decide you want to come there, we're open. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Kenneth Katie. You made mention of holistically of the Micronesia, Melanesia, Polynesia, and Indonesia. And you made mention of NCD. We're not taking it seriously, and we are experiencing the diabetics and what have you. Speaking of the doom, during our board of directors meeting February 17th and 18th, Pohnpei introduced a resolution. I think it's APIL resolution number 3. And you move for defer until this General Assembly because you're going to do some more nitty-gritty, meticulous homework based on your worst experiences with the somebody. I will not name who and what country. And lastly, I join you and vouch for your special commendation to the MC for the moment of silence, including the death of the uninvited guest to our islands, which is COVID-19. And she did not plan for that. It is the husband, Senator Ricky Carroll, who is sitting with the speaker. Let's give him a big round of applause for coaching the MC. Saving second to the last. Republic of Pwuhng.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the last speaker here this morning, I may ask your indulgence. Bear with me. I have about 30 pages of report, and my colleague here will do that. But I just want to do the opening for this morning. Mr. President, before I continue, I just want to highlight one thing so that we bear in mind as we move forward from here. I was just returned from a meeting in Tahiti. I came straight to this beautiful paradise island. And the meeting that I attended in Tahiti was about a blue economy. It's so aligned with the same thing we are focusing on here today. But I would love to highlight this, and let's look forward to see how we can parallel the South and the North. So we bring the Pacific together as a whole. So when we talk about the Pacific blue continent, along with it will be the blue Pacific economy. So I just want to highlight that before I go on. So, Mr. President, before I continue, let me take this moment and bring my utmost respect on behalf of my delegation here, composed of, on my left, Delegate Warren Umetaro. Sitting across from here, our staff, liquor researcher, Indira Daniel, who is now turned into being a photographer. On behalf of our delegation, Mr. President, we want to sincerely thank and warm appreciation to the government and the people of the beautiful island of Pohnpei for their warm, welcome since our arrival here on this island. In the state where last night I experienced so much of the cultural, display that I went to my hotel last night and I keep trying to connect all the experience for the earlier part of the night, which today I'm still at awe when I look at it and I think of it. I also want to, extend my sincere, thanks and appreciation to every one of us in this room today. As a legislator coming from all these different Pacific islands to share our common concern and common issues, and maybe dive into a common solution for a common goal for everyone. It is, very hard, pressing for me to think of it since we just went through the unfortunate COVID-19 pandemic restriction for the past years. And to be here in this room today, face to face, once again, there's nothing better than being together. And I would take that as a, very well appreciated effort. That effort won't happen without the contribution of our, staff who made this happen. And I just want to extend that to our staff as well. Give them a round of applause, please. So having said that, let me yield the floor to my colleague who will give you the 30 pages report, so bear with him. And here goes my colleague, Kumetaro.
Thank you, Delegate Marino. I may now begin with page 1 of 30. The Republic of Palau is pleased to share a review of some of its accomplishments, challenges, and future opportunities since its last reporting period at the 37th General Assembly held in Pohnpei, FSM from June 27 to 29 back in 2018. The 11th Palau National Congress, the Olbira Lulau, has been instrumental in helping the Republic progress and continue its work on environmental protection and overall health and well-being of the country, including social and economic development. Since the last report, the Republic continues to make progress in many areas. In the area of environmental health, our hosting of the Ocean Conference in the 2022 outcomes. Due to the global COVID-19 pandemic, the 7th Our Oceans Conference 2020 was postponed for 2 years and took place April 13 to 14 of this year. The theme was Our Ocean, Our People, Our Prosperity. The number of commitments made this year totaled 411, with a worth of 16.35 billion in thematic areas as climate change with 89 commitments worth a total of 4.9 billion, sustainable fisheries with 60 commitments worth a total of 668 billion, sustainable blue economies with 89 commitments worth a total of 5.7 billion, marine protected areas with 58 commitments worth a total of 1.3 billion, maritime security with 42 commitments worth a total of $358 million, and marine pollution making 71 commitments worth a total of $3.3 billion. the Palau National Marine Sanctuary. In February of this year, a work plan, budget, and a project to strengthen the management of the PNMS was endorsed by a steering committee. A 4-year, $1.8 million project funded by the Global Environmental Facility and supports efforts to develop appropriate mechanisms to inform harvest strategies for Palau's fisheries, address sustainable financing for the management of the sanctuary, and the protection of ocean resources. Additionally, providing for the future opportunities in regional collaboration in ocean protection and preservation. The agencies mandated with the management of PNMS are Division of Maritime Security, Bureau of Fisheries, and the Palau International Coral Reef Center, partnered with the United Nations Development Program to establish partnership platforms, integrate management, build capacity, and operationalize the Marine Operations Center. On Marine Spatial Planning Process, in Republic of Palau Public Law 11-23 from July 2022, the Olvira Lulau authorized the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Environment to coordinate marine spatial planning activities throughout the exclusive economic zone in the Republic. This process will produce a report that can achieve a protection and production balance that will provide the Republic with considerable and sustainable economic benefits while ensuring the resources are not exploited. The report would make recommendations on how to balance evidence-based marine resource management while taking into consideration conservation objectives as well as social and economic objectives to include the allowance of a sustainable domestic fishery production. In the area of economic and financial health, the National Government Fiscal Responsibility and Debt Management Act was passed in November 2021 as a Republic of Palau public law which commits to the principles and practices of fiscal responsibility and debt management. The Palau Private Bank and Trust Act, passed into law in April 2022, authorized private banking, wealth management services, and large-scale capital development throughout the creation of Palau Private Bank and Trust. This mechanism will strengthen our economy through attracting outside investors, investments, high net worth individuals to our shores, and support our tourism strategy geared at high-level value tourists. The Digital Residency Program, passed in December 2021, the program is another economic opportunity for the Republic as it allows non-citizens to establish digital residency, a digital identity that will allow individuals to sign documents, form companies, exchange encrypted documents, purchase insurance, access online banking, and verify a person's identity. To date, since its passage in December 2021, there are 1,260 new digital residents of the Republic of Palau. The establishment of a coronavirus relief one-stop act. The Cross Act RPPL 10-56, passed in April 2020, authorize temporary private sector relief measures for mitigation of the economic and social impacts related to COVID-19. It has been subsequently extended to offset the loss of revenue due to the ongoing pandemic and alleviate the struggles of those lacking the means to provide for themselves and their families under the growing strain of household and other rising living expenses, including rent and utilities. Our PPL number 11-24, included in the fiscal year 2023 Budget Act of the Republic, was passed on September 22 of this year, and it increased the wages and salaries of the national government and full-time state employees by 75 cents per hour. This is our effort to curb out migration and ensure that our citizens make a living wage that matches the ever-increasing cost of living on the island. In the area of physical and psychosocial health, in response to too many people in Palau that are injured and killed each year in motor vehicle accidents, our PPL 11-9 was passed in September 2021 and went into effect last month. A year from its signing, worn properly, seat belts are the best protection against injury in a car crash. They help occupants inside a vehicle spread out the force from a collision, help the body slow down following an impact, and greatly reduce the possibility of harm from the impact caused by airbags inflating in a crash. Psychosocial autopsy. In light of the rising number of suicides, Palau Public Law 11-17 was passed January of this year to require that a psychosocial autopsy be conducted for all suspected suicide deaths. The undertakings will examine the emotional, social, economic, and cultural reasons and circumstances associated with the suicide and will provide valuable insights to inform decision makers in considering the appropriate steps to take to help prevent future suicides and suicide attempts. I'm proud to share that last month, early in September 2022, both houses of Congress passed Senate Joint Resolution 11-30 to commemorate and honor Mr. Blaim Madris, a Palauan son, for becoming the first Palauan ever to join the United States Major League Baseball. As a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and to extend best wishes for his continued health and success throughout his career. In mid-September, Mr. Madris was claimed by the Tampa Bay Rays as their right fielder and first baseman. Just the other day, Mr. Madris was named the AAA Championship Game MVP after delivering 4 hits and 4 RBIs for the champion Durham Bulls. Mr. Madris remains an inspiration and a role model for a healthy nation. Challenges and opportunities. With the spread of COVID-19 virus worldwide in March 2020, the Republic, like its neighboring island nations, made the decision to shut down its borders. They opened the borders back in August 2021, with the mandatory condition of full vaccination and a 7-day quarantine period. The mandatory quarantine period dwindled over time until April 2022, when the Republic fully opened its borders to all fully vaccinated. While the country borders have fully opened, tourism, the Republic's leading source of revenue, that was greatly affected in the global pandemic, has started seeing a slow comeback. The Olvira Lulao, working with the executive branch, had been actively working in collaboration to mitigate our economic challenges and provide further opportunities to succeed in other avenues of revenue sources, as evidenced by legislation as the above. Our Oceans Conference 2022 was successful as we reaffirmed our commitment to the preservation and the protection of our ocean through responsible and sustainable management actions. With the number of commitments, there are billions of opportunities, not only for the Republic of Palau, but for the entire region to explore and to consider. With a second fiber optic cable system installation to be completed by the end of this year, the project to be in service in 2023, the Republic is faced with a greater opportunity to move further into the digital era with a better connection to the rest of the world. The new system marks the first project under a trilateral partnership for infrastructure investment in the Indo-Pacific between the United States, Australia, and Japan, and demonstrates their commitment to meeting the infrastructure needs of the region. The new cable will ensure reliable, secure digital connectivity, help meet the challenges from service disruption and fiber outages, and in the process, serve as a hub for dependable connectivity in the Pacific. Given the geographic remoteness of our island nations, improving connectivity and internet access will open up opportunities to diversify our economy beyond tourism and also boost tourism while spurring new economic opportunities in businesses and investments and providing better government services, including health and education. Not only will it further complement the digital connections that is needed to implement the things as the new digital residency program, it will also boost the marine surveillance and monitoring abilities and work of the Maritime Operations Center once it is operational. In order to overcome these challenges in these unprecedented times, the Republic firmly believes that collaboration is a necessity. We welcome all opportunities for growth, exchange of knowledge, ideas, and expertise, and opportunities to partner with you, our neighbors and allies, as we plan and prepare for the future of all of our island nations. Thank you for your patience. Komsulang.
Thank you for the very comprehensive country report. And I would like to offer a suggestion. Any of our LC personnel to find Tom Peckman to consult the Palau delegation, so you can help him with the draft congratulatory resolution to that APIL Palawan guy who made it into the role. I will also would like to note that Speaker of the Pohnpei State Legislature is a baseball pro, and so is Senator Ricky Carl. And I'm also a pro player, but I play left-out base. I'm too good to play pitcher, catcher, and all of that, so I play left-out. Carry on for the last. Now Pohnpei, and we're trying to catch up. We are like United Airlines, always delay on time. I will ask the Vice Speaker to proceed with the tribute and introduction of all the senators of Pohnpei State Legislature and everybody else, and then we will yield to Senator Simina.
My respect. Thank you, Mr. President. As we accurate, please allow me to yield the floor to Mr. Simina, Senator Simina, to introduce our colleagues and the other staffs here with us. But before yielding this floor to my colleague, a short announcement. Today's lunch is provided by PIDB, Pacific Island Development Bank, at Mangrove Bay site. For those who haven't been there, please follow those that already visited the site. Thank you very much. And I yield to Senator Simina for the state report.
Board of Director Simina, give me a second. Mangrove Bay is opposite of where we were for the dinner reception last night. You're not going to eat mangrove, but there are other good foods. Board of Director Simina, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I proceed, it is the tradition of the land that I pay respect to the non-Marquis and to the Nankins and the traditional chiefs of the land. Please allow me to speak in my mother tongue language, and then I proceed with a brief report on behalf of Pohnpei State Legislature. I tungal sa karataan wow, taang kupuran, irail isopeiti kan, non-Marquis kan, isonanakin kan, likan, nanalak, nan-kini, labalapakan, nan-mumotso, non-government o non-billion triad. Ay tungkol sa karataan wow, pagi report what aban saboliman Pohnpei State, eri ikaraban ay ban patron, ni patron Pohnpei, ay ban taulang nan patron wai, buang kagway ang Israel kan, may patron Israel Rahnwet, ong nang kati kasampal, ye APIL, 39 APIL, nan Pohnpei. I was glad that the MC for this morning mentioned the mission statement of APIL. She stated in a remark that APIL was created, the association was created for the Pacific Islands, and the main rationale behind that is the island entities or island governments need to gather together periodically to discuss issues and challenges that the government islands in the Pacific are facing nowadays. I will proceed with the report, and I would like to express on behalf of the Pohnpei delegation a very warm kasalalia to the honorable delegates, distinguished guests of the APIL 39 General Assembly, and a big kalangan to all for joining us in our 39 General Assembly. I would like to thank the traditional leaders of this sacred land and the leaders of the Pohnpei State Government, Governor, Speaker, and the Pohnpei Legislature for their support in our effort in hosting the 39th General Assembly. To proceed, I think it's appropriate to introduce the API delegate from Pohnpei. On my left, my colleague, Honorable Vice Speaker Magari Miguel, and myself, Mitaro Simina. And with us in this gallery, we have Speaker Yamaguchi, Senator Stevenson Joseph, Senator Jason Walter, Senator Kasinta Litwick, Senator Erolin Movic, Senator Ricky Carl, Senator Tucker Daniel, Senator Atson Abram, Senator Sonster Edgar, Senator Sentilina Lega, Senator Isaac Artui, Senator Kigua Junior Habis, Senator Francisco Ioannis, and Senator Stevie Edwin. I am very happy and excited to have this opportunity to be among great leaders and good friends of APIL. Our last gathering in the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas, we identified great challenges that lays ahead of us in the pursuit of a Pacific. Climate change is the most concerning issue, not just for this organization, but for all Pacific Islands government. In response to this issue, Pohnpei Legislature created a new standing committee, the Environment and Climate Relation Committee. This committee is created to focus chiefly on climate change and environmental issues. As one of the many stakeholders of the Pacific, we join the rest of our Pacific brothers and sisters in committing to a clean ocean through lessening pollution. Therefore, we have passed a resolution beseeching Japan not to dispose of its nuclear waste into the Pacific Ocean. The ramification of disposing nuclear waste in the Pacific Ocean will be a great risk for our islands in the Pacific. For the FSM, our primary source of revenue is derived from the ocean. Mr. President, my APIL colleagues, I am reminded of the wise words of Thomas Pain. I will quote, "Where we would wish to reform, we must not reproach." These wise words resonate well today as we strive for a better future. I hope this 39th General Assembly will yield great result for all of us and our people of the Pacific Islands. Kalangan o Kasilili. Thank you.
May I self-introduce myself? My name is Shelton. I am part of the Pohnpei delegate to the APIL. Really? I am one of the members. Okay, on a serious note, I will read few notes that I have collaboratively prepared by Senator Ricky Carl, Francisco Ioannis, and the other senators, and this is how it goes. The theme of this 39th General Assembly of the AUKUS body of APIL is health is wealth. A very wise man once proclaimed that he who has health has hope, and he who hope has everything. This is a Marshallese Chaluit quote that I am reading. My friends and fellow honorable colleagues, hope has returned to our islands. We are finally meeting today, this week, after 3 long years of fear and illness. Ever since our last General Assembly, COVID-19 has stalked our islands. It has made us prisoners of our own shores. But today, we can rejoice for the APIL has rejoined us together as one body, as one voice, and as one spirit. Yet, it cannot be said that we are entirely free of COVID, for it still lurks in the dark shadows. It still disturbs our peace of mind, excluding the Sakao, and it still infects the unsuspecting. However, it can be said that the crisis that was pandemic has now become endemic. Honorable Senators of the 10th Pohnpei Legislature, this is your collaborative quote that I just finished reading. For Pohnpei delegation to the 39th General Assembly of APIL, year officially ends. So with that, my stomach is singing the song, I love you and I'm hungry. So I hereby recess until in the afternoon. What time, Senator Carl? Okay, 1:30. Yeah, I'll be back here. Yeah, don't eat like a woman, eat like a man. Only a few bites, done. Return to base. That's all.